Time to wrap up the Chaos story with Voyage of Despair, a map that I personally feel holds the title of most underrated, or at least most overhated, map in zombies. Either way, let's get sailing. Or maybe sinking. Clearly I didn't learn from that one billionaire submarine a few years ago as I spawned in on the Titanic as a Liev Schreiber looking Frenchman. It's funny because in the promotional images he looks a lot more like Andy Serkis, not to mention Scarlett looking like Tina Fey. This tangent is to occupy the usual Voyage of Despair first 4 rounds, stabbing zombies with the Strife Operator mod. Seriously, if you made a ranking of the best operator mods, could you put anything else at number 1? The stiletto knife fundamentally changes the flow of the early game. Thanks to the help of the knife and a friendly double points, I powered through the first 4 rounds and accumulated over 8,700 points before leaving the area. I grabbed the shield piece on the bridge as well as the first piece of the Kraken distillation kit in the first class lounge before making my way to the poop deck to activate the Sentinel artifact. Sure looks like someone pooped on this deck. With the red barriers now gone, I activated the first Pack-a-Punch location and went down to the poor passenger section of the ship to grab a second shield piece and go for a swim in the boiler room, draining the water and activating the second Pack-a-Punch location in the engine room. As always, the first step on every BO4 Easter egg is to activate Pack-a-Punch. Back on the front of the boat, I drained the cargo hold water and activated the third Pack-a-Punch location, praying that I didn't get the creepy siren voices because they're scary. I grabbed another part of the distillation kit before spending around at the forecastle, the Strife now becoming a one-shot, one-knife kill, which I find faster than 2 knives. With enough points, I grabbed the final shield piece from a rocking chair in the staterooms. At the bottom of the grand staircase, I activated the final Pack-a-Punch location to summon the magic oven of power. Now it was time for the first of 2 infamous steps on the Easter egg, the clock step. You need to find 4 symbols and write down the time on a nearby clock. I found the first at the top of the grand staircase, an up triangle, and the nearby clock's time was 3:50. Yeah, it looks like 2:50 in real life, but just read it as it is in game. Back in the third class berths, I saw a down triangle with an arrow and the clock said 9:45, so that's what I wrote down. After running into some meat, I built the ballistic shield before continuing on my search. In the first class lounge, the downward triangle with the line said 1:10. Finally, back in the mail rooms, there was a down triangle with the time of 7:25. I returned to the bridge in order to steer us in the right direction, but unfortunately Treyarch waited until MW3 to include drivable boats and zombies. There are 4 wheels that you have to interact with to input the minute hands of the corresponding symbols. Every movement on the wheel equates to 5 minutes, by the way, so if you move the hand 3 times to the right, let's say, it'd be 15 minutes. I'm gonna be completely honest with you, I don't know why this step has gotten so much flack. This whole step is pretty easy and kinda cool. There's another step on this Easter egg that also gets a ton of hate, but we'll get to that later. With all 4 minute hands inputted, I returned to the poop deck to input the hours. These clocks don't tell you which symbols correspond with which, but here's a great trick. Do you see the small hands? Those are the minute hands of the clocks you inputted on the bridge. All you have to do is match up the hour with the minute. There are 2 here, so after I did that, I went down to the engine room, purchased a Chili Willy from the Odin statue, and inputted the time on the 2 gauges down below. It actually turns out I went 1 rotation too far on one of the poop deck clocks, so after that, I went back and completed the step. You get a sound cue that sounds like it's from Moana if you do it right. I couldn't progress in the Easter egg until Catalyst spawned in a few rounds, so while I was waiting, I spun the mystery box in hopes of getting the Kraken, Homunculus, and Hellion Salvo. It shames me to admit I was actively looking for it, but I'd heard the reputation of this Easter egg and wasn't going to take any chances. I settled for the Switchblade and grabbed the final piece of the distillation kit in the galley. Though I couldn't progress the quest yet, I searched around the map for 4 outlets sparking a different element. Finding the dining room had the electric outlet. Back on the aft decks, I looked in a window and found the fire outlet as well as the water outlet in the third class berths. Keep in mind that there are 6 locations, so this might not match your game if for some unholy reason you're using my video for educational purposes. I crafted the distillation kit in the engine room for later before continuing the quest. Let me just give you the marquee network highlight reel for the next few rounds. So there are only 6 locations for the outlets and I already have 3, right? Here's the thing, I quintuple checked every location, including ones I already saw elements on, and I couldn't find the poison outlet. After some research, I find that when it happens, sometimes you just need to flip flip the round and it might work. I did end up doing this and it did work for a bit, but the outlet eventually went out. I noticed in the staterooms that I could hear a squishing noise near the outlet, so I took a leap of faith and assumed it would be there. While waiting for Pixar's Elemental to spawn, I grabbed Dying Wish and continued hitting the box in hopes of getting the 3 items I needed, but no dice. At least I got the S6 Stingray, an absolute beast of a gun. Round 9 was the first appearance of the Catalyst enemies, so I led a poison one to the staterooms and sure enough, it did count. Unfortunately, in my attempt to get out of dodge, I killed an electric zombie and got too close to a fire one, which set me back on progress. So I made myself better with a pricey purchase of PhD Slider and bought my wife the Twilight House Lego set. Good news, I got the Kraken in the transition between rounds 9 and 10. There is a method to get a free Kraken, but honestly you can't even start that quest until round 10 minimum, and when you compare that to literally every other Wonder Weapon quest in BO4, it's just not worth the wait. On round 10 I blew away the first Stoker of the game before grabbing a concentrated decay for a Kraken upgrade I needed for the quest and killing the water catalyst in the 3rd class berths. You do need to enter the magic symbols they create in a certain order, but you don't have to kill the catalyst in that order. I purchased my raw perk, Victorious Tortoise, aka Turtle Time, and sacrificed the electric catalyst to the outlet company. After a couple of close calls at the start of round 12, I finished my catalyst journey by blasting a fire one at the aft decks. With low Kraken ammo, I opted to convert the manly cannons into the poison version to top off and get ready for the 4 lockdowns, even though I didn't yet have the salvo. The first lockdown you need is the poison one. You're stuck on the poop deck, and come on, this has to be a joke, right? Poison, noxious, stinky gas zombies on the poop deck? Anyway, you're trapped here and have to kill a poison catalyst onslaught as well as blight fathers. Guess what's not hard to do when you have a giant triple bore cannon though? I grabbed the floating max ammo and the sentinel artifact when I was done. Don't forget to grab the artifact, by the way. I think I forgot twice in this run. Next up is the water lockdown, widely considered to be the hardest one. You get sent to the cargo hold, which floods again, meaning you need to battle zombies, water catalysts which beef up those regular zombies if you aren't aware, and even a couple of blight fathers while all underwater. I guess Treyarch didn't get the memo that no one likes water levels. I found that the area by Pack-a-Punch was my best bet so I could swim up for air while still having time to move. Knowing that the water Kraken is the best, I also picked up a foot from a water catalyst. Well, concentrated purity if you want to be elegant about it, but I'm not a fancy pants. After leaving and spinning the box a bunch more times, once again not getting the Hellion salvo, I prepared myself for the electric holdout despite not having much Kraken ammo. I wondered why the hell the electric challenge wasn't working before realizing that I didn't grab the Sentinel artifact, so after deciding on Pack-a-Punching the Kraken anyway, I grabbed the artifact from the cargo room and started the electric holdout. You're trapped on the boat deck where you have to deal with electric catalysts, zombies, and good old tongue boys. This area is a bit tight and this would have definitely been easier if I had the homunculus or salvo, but thanks to upgrading the Kraken I got through it with minimal issues. I grabbed the ammo, forgot about the artifact yet again, grabbed it, and initiated the fire lockdown. This one takes place in the boiler room, but thankfully you don't have to battle double Dutch tongue down here, just a bunch of fire catalysts, zombies, and stokers. I'd make a Billy Squire joke if they were strokers, but that would be too much of a masturbation joke name, I guess. If you hang out on top of the room, you can usually manipulate the spawns so they only come from the left. In fact, on a previous attempt when I had homunculus, I made them exclusively come from the left because I kept chasing the little demon boy. After plenty of cannon fire though, I ended the challenge and remembered the artifacts this time. Now for what I think is the actual worst step in this Easter egg, shooting blue pipes. You need to shoot like 8 or 9 air leaks on the blue pipes in the turbine room in order to flood the area of the ship. This can only be done with the poison Kraken as well, which is why I chose this instead of the superior water or electric versions. Glad I had Winter's Whale because this step is probably a pain in the ass without it, but eventually I blasted all of the leaks and flooded the area. I ended the round and Pack-a-Punched the Sentinel artifact itself, being blessed by the loud step complete music drowning out the siren's voice. Round 14 is the first round-based spawn with the Blight Father, so I got the hell out of there, but he met me at the stairs. Another reminder that the Stingray is an S-tier weapon as it completely butt-fucked the Blight Father. A fire sale was a sight for sore eyes, but unfortunately I came up empty. That's when the game decided to like me and gift me a second fire sale in the engine room, which was right by a boiler room location. Tragically, I came up empty once again. Now it's time for what is probably the most hated step in the Easter egg by other people, but honestly, my personal favorite, the infamous planet step. It starts with you having to find 9 symbols which correspond with 7 of the planets, omitting Earth, 1 satellite being our moon, and 1 star being the sun. The symbols are actually in pretty fitting locations if you think about it. For example, the Venus symbol is in the millionaire suite next to a bed, the Mercury symbol is in the mailroom, as Mercury was the messenger god in Roman mythology, and Uranus is in the bathroom. Top tier shitposting Treyarch. Once you interact with a symbol, the planet it stands for can be seen floating in the sky, which is so cool. Guys, I'm not gonna lie to you, I was never great at science classes in school, normally settling for a B instead of an A, but I have always loved space ever since I was a little boy. Oh yeah, I also switched my poison crack into the water one because water is awesome and I'm out of ammo anyway. After getting the final symbol and hitting the box a bunch, eventually getting my identical twin, I said screw it, I'm doing this step without the salvo. I drained the water again in the cargo hold and interacted with the solar system diorama and took note of the planet order. Venus, Mars, Mercury, Uranus, Jupiter, Neptune, Saturn, the moon, and finally the sun, which is always the last one on this step. This spawns a ton of zombies in my area, as when you're around the planet symbols from earlier, a ton of zombies show up to stop you from participating in astronomy. No one stops me from participating in astronomy. So what you have to do here is look up into the sky and shoot the planets in the order that you saw them on the diorama. Then you run to roughly the same area you found their symbol at and pick up little blue orbs. If for some reason you forgot what order the planets are in real life, well, look it up. First was Venus, so I shot the closer red planet to the sun and grabbed the orb off the bed in the Millionaire Suite. Next up was Mars, the other red planet. It's important for Mars especially to shoot it when you're standing in the back of the boat, because you only have a certain amount of time to make it to the orbs before you have to fail and start over. That's what I did. Shot it at the back of the boat and made my way to the boiler room, cracking blasting everything away. Next up was Mercury. It's back in the mail room, so I shot the small purple planet that was closest to the sun at the front of the boat. Fun fact, despite being the first planet and Earth being the third, Mercury is actually, on average, the closest planet to Earth. When you think about it, Mercury, Venus, and Mars are all at different points of the year closest to the planet Earth. Fun space facts with zombies dad jokes. Get your laugh emojis ready because next up is Uranus. It's a large purple planet that is the furthest from the sun in the sky in this game, so I blasted away for some zombies and grabbed Uranus from the bathroom in the staterooms. At the back of the boat, I shot Jupiter and made a dramatic jump to grab the floating orb above a ball pit made of zombies, missing the first time because I forgot to interact with it. I battled some zombies for a while, coming up empty-handed yet again with another fire sale, before resuming my planet fun. Out in the Atlantic Ocean, you can see a blue sphere floating around in water, and that's Neptune. It's pretty cool, as Neptune, of course, is a great SpongeBob character. Oh, and God of the Sea. I grabbed its blue orb on the aft decks after charging headfirst into a group of zombies with my unupgraded gun. Now for everyone's favorite ringed planet, Saturn. Though if you're a meme lord and want to say Uranus, Uranus has rings too. I love space. I grabbed Saturn's orb on the bridge. Now for the easy ones, Pokemon Moon and Sun. I shot the moon itself through this window at the dining hall. That's right, you don't shoot a small floating body that shows up in the sky, you just shoot the moon in the skybox. I held off on shooting the sun for now because shooting the sun puts you into a tough section that I really wanted to get fully set up for, and that begins a rant. You can see I'm mostly complete with the planet step on round 18. It's just one more step and then the boss fight, so in theory I could have gotten this Easter egg done sub round 20, which I would have been stoked for. I'd already put tens of thousands of points into the mystery box at that point in the game, and I neglected upgrading my Stingray at all in order to save points. I love Black Ops 4 as I say every video, but the one big drawback isn't the perk system or the pack-a-punch system, it's the fact that they didn't remove guns out of the box. Go look up any BO4 map on the wiki, there are over 50 weapons in the box, which is insane. Take the wall weapons out, anything. It's still not as bad as World War II and its 70 weapons, but it's ridiculous all the same. I have to give more love to the Stingray though. This thing was still killing zombies unpacked up to round 20, which is really saying something for Black Ops 4 guns. Seriously, if you want an alternate weapon to the Hellion, get the Stingray off the black market and unlock the Operator mod. But eventually it was round 20. I only had enough points for one more box spin, but just when all hope was lost. Finally, on round 23, after 5 rounds of getting the salvo and upgrading it, I shot the sun and picked up the orb, bringing me to the iceberg step. This is a pretty cool step. You need to clear some icebergs in order to get to the back of the ship in fast enough time, or you freeze to death. I'm not sure if you insta-fail the Easter egg, but I'd rather not test it out. I used a strategy by another zombies YouTuber named Jolts, whose guides have been so helpful at helping me learn these Easter eggs, so go check them out if you need help. I blasted the first iceberg with my Kraken and muscled through 2 more before tossing tossing a homunculus and breaking another iceberg. One more tossed little dude later and I crushed another iceberg, which blessed me with the max ammo. One more tossed gremlin later and I cheated the step by firing a bazillion rockets into the iceberg at the back of the map. With that step done, it was time to face my destiny and interact with the portal at the poop deck. I played a little Subnautica and interacted with the Tree of Life, inserting the Sentinel artifact and gushed at this amazing animation involving the planets. This returned me to the poop deck where a giant iceberg came out of the water. In spawned the Eye of Odin, one of the toughest boss fights in the game. It's usually considered the toughest, but I'm still working my way through them all. The first of 5 phases is to just hang out in the poop deck area and kill everything that comes your way, with the phase ending after killing a Blightfather or two. Eventually Sackboy showed up and I played Dermatologist with his puffs. The screen flashed white, which was my cue to grab the max ammo and Carpenter for the shield replenish. Phase 2 took place in the engine room, but once again the Eye just stared at me without intervening himself. Maybe it was one of those I'm above this worm type bullshit. This time my ocular friend can spawn swirling ice storms that freeze me if I walk into them, but I decided to just camp by the max ammo and Carpenter instead. No use in getting pinned in a bad situation. When the stilted man showed up, I switched to the Hellion and downed him in a couple of rockets. This part is definitely tougher than the first phase and lasts longer, though the zombies can't really sneak up behind you, so maybe it evens it out. Eventually a second Blightfather spawned right next to me, so after throwing a homunculus, I owned him while he was trying to puke on the pack-a-punch instead of, killing me. The Eye had enough of my bullshit and progressed to the next phase. Phase 3 is in the stateroom hallways. Now good old Odin decided to take me on himself, so I had to stay out of the hallways or else his eye beam would freeze me. When he's pewing you with this Samus Aran beam, you need to shoot him to do damage. I imagine this step would be balls hard if I had any other weapon in the game, but you would be insane to take on this thing with an escargot. Phase 4 is a bit of a breather. You fight the Eye on the Promenade starboard deck, but you have plenty of room, so as soon as he started warping, I tossed a homunculus and poured flaming rockets into him when he started shooting at me, causing him to run away. The little guy lasted just long enough for me to get another few rockets into the Eye. I tossed another homunculus when the Eye started warping again and put 3 more rockets into him, ending the phase and giving me a moment to grab the ammo and Carpenter. Pissed off at the Eye floaters I've given him, we returned to the poop deck for phase 5, but hopefully better than MCU phase 5. Now the Eye teleports around the sides of the ship and shoots the same beam from the last 2 phases, and you need to hit him enough to make him teleport again. But once you do this 3 times, it'll warp to the front and prepare to annihilate you with a wipe attack. Having triggered my dying wish before this, I had to be careful but pulled it off. Now it's just rinse and repeat 2 more times, though I did come close to downing a couple of times. After the second wipe attack, I grabbed the max ammo and tossed another homunculus as well as grabbing the Carpenter. I mistimed my homunculus throws, but thankfully equipment gives you more. One final wipe attack led to the defeat of the Eye and a victory. Easter egg complete. Cutscene time. Everything goes back to normal, which is why you don't see any zombies or goop in the real wreck of the Titanic. This quest wasn't really as hard as people make it out to be. Or maybe I'm just better at zombies than I thought, huh? Either way, thank you so much for watching, and if there's anything in particular you'd like to see next, please let me know in the comments. Otherwise, I'll move on to the Ether Easter eggs.